carved into cliffs, grounded in faith and history. Lalibela's rock-hewn churches have inspired awe for 900 years. This week on Inside Africa, I'll take you inside the Ethiopian village, through this sacred site, and show you how Lalibela became a place of pride and pilgrimage for the faithful. Ethiopia is home to one of the oldest Christian churches in the world, dating back to the early 4th century. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church used to be part of Egypt's Coptic Church, but established its own patriarch in 1959. Today, nearly 2/3 of the country's population is Christian, with most belonging to the Orthodox Church. Nestled in the rugged mountains of northern Ethiopia, the small village of Lalibela holds enormous significance to the Orthodox Church, being one of the most important places of pilgrimage. This is where 11 medieval churches were carved both inside and out from a single rock, connected by an extensive system of drainage ditches, tunnels and passageways.
You still can see the chisel marks. All this has been dug.
Wow. Fikru Waldegorgis has lived here most of his life and knows the churches intimately. The perfect guide to help me navigate the maze of passages.
So what's the purpose of having these tunnels?
You know, two things. One, as you can see, they all are below the level of the ground. So the only way to go between the churches is through the tunnels.
Through this network.
And then plus, it helps also to drain the water down the gorge.
Okay. Wow.
Fikru is taking me to what he says is one of the most impressive churches, the House of Emmanuel.
Look at it, Errol. This is Emmanuel.
Oh,
So one of the nicest one from the Lalibela rock-hewn churches.
this is absolutely incredible. Now, how old is this?
So this is from the 12th century, about 900 years old. But imagine how impressive really it is. So look at the beams, how nicely made and how exact they are.
How did they make those beams, those lines so level?
Imagine, you know, in the 12th century, there was no like split level, but exact. So you can tell that those people were really good even in mathematics. And if you go all the way through, you will find the beam inside exactly on the same level of the outside one. That's really a great mason's work. Look at the wall.
Now, as historically important as this church was, it's still incredibly important to Christians in Ethiopia today, correct?
Well, yes, it is. This is one of the very important places for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church people. We still have thousands of pilgrims coming to Lalibela every year, because there is a belief that pilgrims to Lalibela, they share the same blessing as pilgrims to Jerusalem. So you can imagine how important really it is. So we still have people walking toward Lalibela with bare feet all the way from home, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So you can imagine.
Walking how much of a distance?
Well, like, you know, several hundred kilometers.
Wow.
Like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, even a month.
So for Ethiopian Christians, this is as important, as special as Jerusalem.
Yes. So they have to come at least once in a lifetime. So you can imagine how important really it is.
How many Ethiopian Christians make that pilgrimage here every year?
Every year we do expect between 80 to 100,000 pilgrims. So imagine the inhabitants is about 30,000. So the pilgrims are like 3 or 4 times of the inhabitants. So lots of people.
Wow.
Walking with bare feet toward Lalibela from Gondar, Aksum and the like.
Well, we want to see what it is they see when they get here. Can we head inside?
Oh, why not?
Before going inside any of the sacred churches, we have to remove our shoes out of respect.
This is really special. How can such a sacred and ancient place still function as a church today?
You know, what makes the Lalibela church is very important is they are still in use.
Right.
So this is not a museum, this is a living heritage. Every day, every morning, there is a service in all the churches. So this is really
Every single day?
Every single day, they all are open for a service. And then you can see a priest here, who is in charge of this church. So this is a place which is still in use.
And we can see these white curtains here as well.
Yes, you know,
What's behind
the church has got different divisions. You know, as I've said, it is a church which is still in use. If you look at that part, the one behind the curtain is the Holy of Holies, where the priest only can go.
I'm told these sacred rooms hold copies of the Ark of the Covenant, a box of gold and acacia wood that's believed to contain the Ten Commandments. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims the Ark rests inside a chapel in the city of Aksum, about 400 kilometers from Lalibela. But no one's allowed to see this holy relic, except for anointed monks, who interestingly enough are forbidden to leave the chapel grounds until they die.
Now you mentioned some of the beams and that this church also has a loft.
Yes.
What's in the loft?
So the church has got a loft. If you look at the windows, that's where the loft is. And then there is a door and has got staircase cut out of the same rock and spiral. So there is spiral staircase. And then up in the loft, there are also treasures. And there are chests where they keep treasures. So the staircase is really very impressive, cut out of the same rock and spiral. Imagine, it's from one rock, but still spiral.
How is that possible?
So that we strongly believe that was with the help of angels. So people work during the day, and angel came at night and worked twice. So we strongly believe that this was done with the help of angels.
Now I'm kind of flabbergasted as you're telling me all of this, and as I'm, standing inside such a special place. What has it been like for you growing up here? Did you always know that something so sacred was in your neighborhood?
Well, imagine this is the place where I'm from. I was born, brought up, went to school here. So my life, my life is here. But, while I was a little boy, I used to come here. But I don't really realize how important really it was. But this time, it's a privilege to be here. So I always want to be here. So this is a really nice place to be.
When did you realize, how long ago,
well,
how special this is?
I tell you honestly, maybe the last 10, 15 years.
Really?
So when I see people coming to Lalibela, this must be very important.
People from around the world?
Around the world, very important people. Like, if you take 3-4 years ago, former President Clinton was here in Lalibela. So, I say, this must be a very important place.
Wow, it's really incredible.
It's really a place to be.
Yes, and I really appreciate you kind of showing me and taking me inside.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
These monolithic churches are a fascinating part of African history, and when we return, I'll take a special look at the religious ceremonies tied to these chiseled creations. The rural mountain town of Lalibela is home to about 30,000 people. And though the Ethiopian village may be small and remote, it's brimming with spirituality for followers of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Lalibela's famous monolithic churches have been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1978, thanks to their impressive architecture and rich influence on Ethiopian Christianity. Some churches were chiseled into the face of a cliff, while others stand as isolated blocks, like the iconic Church of St. George, constructed in the shape of a cross.
Now, all of these sacred sites here in Lalibela are carved out of what's called volcanic tough rock. You can see it here. But look, it disintegrates quite easily. So 5 years ago, UNESCO decided to erect these protective coverings, shielding the churches from the elements. Unfortunately, out of all 11 sacred churches, only 4 of them have this kind of protection.
The shelters may be unsightly, eclipsing the awe of these churches, but experts say they're critical to preserving the integrity of these distinct structures. Church scholar Alberto Retta met us in front of the House of Gabriel Raphael to discuss what makes these monolithic churches so different from others.
They are different because they were built from the top down. Everywhere in the world, structures are built from the ground up. But St. Lalibela did it from the top down. There's nothing comparable in the world.
Now, there are several stories surrounding the creation of these churches, some which attribute the work to angels. But Alberto says no matter what you believe, King Lalibela, who commissioned the churches, was inspired.
St. Lalibela had spent 13 years in Jerusalem. After that, Jesus told him, "You will be king of Ethiopia. You will build 10 churches from one rock and create a place where the faithful come to worship and to be cured of what ails them." Lalibela answered, "How? Even when Solomon built the temple, he had brought the artisans from Babylon and Persia. How do you create churches from one rock?" Jesus said, "I'm the start and end of it all. It will be built with the power of the Holy Spirit. I have revealed this to you, and go and build it."
Many historians say construction was completed with remarkable speed for the time, taking about 23 years. At 86 years old, Alberto, who has studied the religion in some of Ethiopia's holiest cities, says he's seen positive changes in Lalibela over the years. He's especially content with how it's become a worldwide tourist destination.
I am very happy that tourists are coming. One, because the country's culture should be shown. And secondly, many poor people in the area are being helped. Those who were starving now have cars and have built homes. They are able to help their families. I am very happy that tourists are coming, not just me, but everyone who lives in the area. During Emperor Haile Selassie, the priests were being paid. The Dirge, the junta government, stopped that. There was nothing. Now, if the tourists stopped, the priests can't make a living. And this includes the guides and others. Everyone is making a living through the tourism business. It's great. Without the tourists, there is no salary for anyone. If the tourists stopped, everything will stop.
But that doesn't seem likely. An increasing number of tourists are arriving, bringing attention to this remote town.
10 years ago, Lalibela didn't really look like this. You've got the cobble-lined streets, there are a few stores here and elsewhere catering to tourists. And that's because within the past decade, there's been a real push, a real conscious effort to develop the infrastructure here and attract people from around the world.
And it's not just the masterful architecture that attracts visitors. Walking around the sacred sites, tourists have a special glimpse into the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. Throughout the compound, you'll find locals leaning against the rock walls, praying quietly or reading religious texts. There are fertility and baptism pools outside some of the churches where visitors might capture special ceremonies. Inside, there's much more to discover as well. Some churches contain religious art as well as sculptures and other relics. As we continue our journey through the sacred churches, we come upon Beta Meskel, also known as the House of the Cross. The priest of this church shows us the cross of Saint Lalibela.
Saint Lalibela had designed various crosses made out of different materials such as brass and silver. This one is made of brass. It represents the 12 disciples.
The various priests we've met throughout Lalibela have been eager to spread the word about the churches and rich history. And when we return, we get an even closer look at some of the traditions and rituals linked to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. This is Lalibela at 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Still void of daylight, worshippers in white stand out among the darkness. Ethiopian Orthodox Christians quietly make their way down to the ancient churches as the beat from a traditional drum beckons. All of Lalibela's rock-hewn churches are holding services, and we've come to witness some of the religious ceremonies taking place. As more worshippers arrive, shoes pile up outside the church known as the House of the Savior of the World, which is believed to be the largest monolithic church on the planet. It might appear to be a normal service, but we quickly learn a wedding ceremony is taking place, a rare thing to catch this time of year. Later in the day, we caught up with the priest who presides over all of the churches in Lalibela. He explained the importance of church services to followers of the Orthodox Church.
The
service is about praising the Lord. Every Sunday there is a special service, and every day there is a service in this church. At Lalibela, you don't have to worry about what time it will be closed. Like the angels in heaven, the prayer here does not stop. They come early to get the blessing. Because it's such a big deal, every inch of the place is packed. People are so happy with the blessings they get here, they come here without any prompting and spend their nights and days at the church.
It's fascinating when you consider pilgrims come from all over Ethiopia, many traversing the rocky roads on foot, even those with disabilities. We saw similar devotion during Sunday service throughout the cluster of churches. Worshippers tucked into different corners, some reading prayers, while others kiss the ancient rock walls.
You will see people bowing, praying, and receiving blessings. Worshippers want to kiss the priest's cross, to hear the sermons in the proper Christian tradition. There are christenings, those taking sacrament, those getting married, those who are sick and want to be touched by the cross and sprinkled with holy water, are here asking their Creator for blessings. You hear the language of the Creator and His children. The Creator cannot be seen, but He is seen through those whom He has created. The faithful, as the children of God, appeal to Him for His blessings. It continues tomorrow and the day after. It's not something that stops. To see this worship, even foreigners come, take their shoes off and enter and witness the service, and learn about and admire our tradition.
Many of those traditions can be traced back to the 4th century. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church stands apart from others with its own calendar, and it retains many Jewish practices from the Old Testament. With so much of the Orthodox history and influence linked to Lalibela, the priest tells us his job is all the more special.
It's been 8 years since I was appointed as the administrator of the 11 churches. I have served to bring men and God together and act as a spiritual guide. It brings me great joy. There are 800 people serving in the churches. God has helped serve these people. All is possible with the help of God. We try to follow the tradition and dogma of the church and help the priesthood here in whatever way we can. We try to maintain the place so that every foreign visitor can appreciate our history. There's nothing that makes me happier, especially helping the poor who have nowhere to go. Once a man has done his job well, he can go to his grave in peace. To have the love of the people makes me happy. We have changed the area by planting trees and by cleaning it up. I'm happy about my service.
As the day wore on, local worshippers continued to descend on the churches. Though the sacred sites have provided a solid foundation for the faithful, it's the followers who ultimately breathe life into these ancient rock walls. You can see more from this week's journey at cnn.com/Inside Africa, and tell me your thoughts right now on Twitter under Errol CNN. We leave you now with more moments from our trip to Lalibela, Ethiopia.